Welcome. My name is Terry Armani and I'm the host of Construction Leaders Club, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this Construction Leaders podcast. Our featured guest today is Lindsay Allen, who will obviously tell you more about herself, but she occupies a very important role in the local construction industry and its future. And in essence, that's the reason why I've invited her today, because she has a lot of strategic information that I'm sure will benefit us all as individuals and business owners. So, without more to do then, Lindsay, could you just give us a brief sort of insight into who you are, what you're currently doing, why you're doing it, and what you're trying to achieve on behalf of your business, which I understand is called D2N2.
That's it, yes. Hello everybody, it's Lindsay Allen, Senior Programme Manager for D2N2. That's a local enterprise partnership, very wordy and jargony, but what we're trying to do is, for the Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Derby City, Nottingham City area, create 55,000 private sector jobs. My specialism within the LEP is to develop the sectors. One of the important ones is the construction sector, linking that with perhaps low carbon, perhaps innovation, and taking us forward into having the construction sector with the right skills, the right people to take forward the work of sort of construction in its broadest sense. We've got European funds that are coming through the area, over sort of £200 million or so, both for skills, apprenticeships, all the high-level skills, trying to make sure that we retain the quality of skills and people in the area, and support the young people through into apprenticeships and through education. We've also got government money, which is called Growth Deal, something like I'm nearing £500 million worth of capital investments. That's perhaps what your listeners would be very interested to know. And what we're trying to do there is link up with the procurement bodies, the local authorities predominantly, and through the Social Value Act, try and get better investments for the money that we're actually sort of putting in for roads or skills hubs or the various things that we're actually wanting to build, but making sure that we get that best value for the area of D2N2.
Okay, so I'm sure there's lots of people listening who aren't up to speed. So just trying to be simple about it and take one step at a time. Mm-hmm. Your organisation was created out of the last change in government. That's
correct, yeah. About 3-4 years ago, when the development agencies, so some of the larger construction firms would perhaps remember the EMDA, East Midlands Development Agency.
Which is now defunct.
That closed. When the Tories came in and the coalition came in, that was deemed as sort of at a regional level. They wanted to move forward and have very local development organisations. I mean, the government have looked at Localism Act, very much sort of local people and businesses saying what should happen in their area. Yeah. So there are 39 LEPs in the country.
As a consequence of that, you're challenged with what, in simple terms?
Creating 55,000 jobs and growing the economy.
So that's the primary driver,
primary driver, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that construction only, or is that all sectors?
Well, it's the economy in its broadest sense, but the local enterprise partnership in its board, through research, has chosen, or through research found 8 particular sectors that are likely to create a good number of the jobs, maybe sort of 33% of the jobs. Construction is one of them. We've got low carbon, food and drink. Right. It is all on the website, so I won't wade through all 8.
So construction is one of the 8 key sectors that you've got an interest in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's good for us in Construction Leaders Club.
Yeah.
So when you first became an entity, presumably you were asked to, or you decided to create a strategy.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got the strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's called the Strategic Economic Plan.
Right.
And that's been brought into by all the partners around the table. The LEPs are private sector led with private sector board members, but also the local authorities, universities, colleges, all the key agencies that you'd expect to be working together.
And the local Chamber of Commerce, who's playing a big part in all this, I believe.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So they're very much sort of driving. We are employees of the Chamber, pragmatically and strategically decided that was the case, rather than local authorities sort of driving as employees. So yeah, it's very much private sector.
So you've got a strategy, and remind me what it's called.
The Strategic Economic Plan.
Right.
And that's available on our website.
Right.
And also for the European funds, there's another plan of what we propose to do with that European money as well.
Right.
So they're the big sort of key documents of where we want to go, the sorts of ideas and thoughts we've got about creating jobs. And building skills is absolutely key. All of the sectors have a skills action plan. All of the sectors also have been working to create a sector action plan, all available on the website.
Okay, so you've got a well thought out, comprehensive strategy.
Would like to think so.
Yeah, quite. but beyond the strategy, then, is how do you implement that strategy? Are you in the implementation stage yet?
We're getting very close to that. I think the growth deal, which I mentioned before, is the government funding, which has been announced, signed off in November, and a new lot a couple of weeks ago. That one, the most recent, was £22 million worth of mainly capital and construction investment. So that's very much sort of working through the sort of contract stage and working out how we actually get things off the ground. But then the European funds, we are at the cusp of calling for projects. Both business support and innovation are our two first ones. So the work that people have been doing, the private sector led groups, both the skills groups and the sector action groups, really are the ones that for construction are charged with turning that action plan, the things that they want to see, the wish list, if you like. How is it going to be funded?
Yeah.
European funds at least need sort of 50% match, so businesses and other authorities, agencies need to be bringing other money to the table. So that's where we're at the moment, is working with a small group to work out which partners need to be around the table, how we're going to actually turn that action plan into reality, and possibly using the European funds.
Well, speaking to quite a number of the people who come to Construction Leaders Club events, like SMEs, small businesses, and when they hear you and I talking about strategy, I think they sort of
glaze
over because they don't really understand it and they're far distant from it. So how does a small business person, and I can think of all kinds of examples, I've got clients who are in water treatment, clients who design mechanical and electrical services, project managers, architects. I mean, how do they engage with this initiative that you're doing that is crucially important to and for all of us, but we don't really know how to engage with it? What do we do?
Yeah, the mechanism at the stage we've got at the European programme, which probably is the big organisations, sort of construction skills, or universities perhaps, or local authorities that are starting to sort of put business support programmes in place. Now that leads directly, we've got a D2N2 growth hub, which is essentially where we're going to bring together the public, private, all sorts of business support offers from D2N2 in one place. It's the D2N2 Growth Hub, which is a website and a bespoke phone line. We've got two coordinators who, if any businesses are interested in skills or training or grants or business support in its broadest sense, management and leadership training, all of those sorts of things, to make a call to the Business Growth Hub. And our Growth Hub coordinators will firstly take that call for you, do a bit of a diagnostic, work out exactly what you want. A lot of businesses say, need a grant, need to get some money spent. Actually, that's not always the case. It's about looking at your whole business, where you want to go. And yes, grants are important to take you forward and invest, but it might be that you need a bit of advice about apprenticeships or your management structure or sort of procurement, or getting involved with how you procure better. And so there's lots of different things that we can help with through that probably central point, and then we'll farm that out to all the advisors. That could be Manufacturing Advisory Service, it could be one of the universities for an innovation or a new technology that you're looking at. That's Growth Accelerator as well, and UKTI if you're thinking about exporting. Some of the key things that have come out of your sector plan, the construction sector plan, is about people getting more involved in exporting both their goods and services, looking at the BIM, Business Information Modelling.
Yes.
So how that, at the moment, it's very much the larger organisations for public procurement, but how we get the smaller SMEs to think along those lines so that they can be more ready for being procured by the subcontractor elements. So it's those sorts of areas, looking at the Social Value Act to make sure that we can get the most out of the money that we do invest, and really that's sort of a portal so that we can put up procurement opportunities and people can find work and actually offer work through a portal. So we're looking at trying to put investment into those areas particularly, so that we are actually helping real businesses. It's across the D2N2 area, but then the actual sort of one-to-one information that an SME would want to go to find out would be through the Growth Hub.
So in simple terms then, if I was a small business owner and I was interested in growth or enhancing my profits, or there's a lot of benefits in contacting D2N2 because one way or another you've got a service or a capability that will help them. Oh, the simple message is give us a ring and we're here to help.
Yeah, definitely. That's absolutely the case, and it's through the Growth Hub, including things like better business regulation, looking at sort of breaking around red tape or the health and safety elements. There's actually a project that's is exactly that, so people can actually call, not feel that they're going to be checked over by the agencies and authorities, but actually be given that friendly advice to take them into sort of a safer working environment as well. So that's really what the offer is. It's backed by government. There is a national support programme of business support, and we're linking up with the national offers, which is quite general, quite generic, right through to the sort of more detailed local offer, and construction being one of our key sectors, and clearly we've got a lot of time and resource that we're putting into the key sectors to help them grow.
Okay, so changing direction slightly, we know now who you are, what you do and what your objectives are, but one of the things I tend to ask of a general interest nature is it too early to ask you for a win-win story? Because, in a sense, you're at the early origins of your project. Have you got a win story up to now, or can you foresee one coming up in the future?
Yeah, certainly I've been in the sort of the regeneration world for quite some time. So it's about the work we do is developing sort of the big project ideas and sort of that strategy. But I think it's always back down to the real people, the real businesses. And for example, in just my previous job, actually working through with it's actually a farm set up in Matlock Meadows, which is an ice cream parlour, but also a viewing area for children. So it's that sort of project that we're maybe looking at to support, and the sort of the construction side of sort of the big buildings to help them both do something that's really good for the community, but also to drive their business and turn that what is sort of a dairy farm into a bit more of a sort of tourism attraction. But there's lots of other different pieces of work that we do, but that's sort of maybe an example of the sorts of things that drives me and gets me to sort of help businesses and give my experience to help the businesses and the contacts that I have to help people.
So in other words, you're happy to encourage people to, what would you say, think differently, think out of the box, innovate, find new ways to use their resources. Yeah,
and I think the low carbon element is another one of our key sectors. So that resource efficiency, the renewables, if you're looking along those lines. And we also are looking at sort of sustainability as a sort of key driver, so we can contract on that basis as best we can and as much as we can to go that little bit further, so that D2N2, when the money's used, we can look back and say we've done a really good job on sustainability, on low carbon, on making things the best quality we possibly can, and building the economy not just for economic benefit but social and environmental as well.
All right, okay. Changing step once again. Within your current remit, have you got what you might consider a primary focus? Is there one thing that you're particularly keen to deliver, ensure happens?
I think the job itself is to develop sectors and business engagement. So that's really my sort of key reason for, that's my job title. But I think it is about that sort of that quality of the end product, actually not just sort of buying outputs, if you like, sort of saying that this project will deliver X number of jobs, but we don't really care what they are. I think what we're trying to do, and I'm really keen to do, is make sure that we get the really quality, we get something that's better than just average. What does good look like? So that's really what sort of is the key focus, is the business engagement, working with sort of the private businesses, and we're trying to make sure that what at the end of the day, businesses out there want to run their business and want to do it successfully, and we are there to facilitate that.
Yeah, well, I think from the small business angle, there's a degree of overwhelming all this, and we need you to make it simple for us, and to lead us to a degree by the nose to the promised land, as they say. So if that's your strategic focus, then I wish you well with it, obviously. So moving on again, I ask our guests, do they have a habit? So do you have a particular habit that you're fond of, that you utilise all the time and you'd recommend to our listeners?
I think really it's that sort of maybe that drive and commitment to be able to impart any knowledge or experience or support I have and have access to, in this case, businesses, so that they can thrive. I think that's it. It's trying to know the system or the structure can be quite complicated, but being driven enough to make sure that I can help make things easier. You get out of bed in the morning and run your business. I want to make sure that happens because that's the commitment. And on a sort of human point of view, it's I'm not. I might dare say I'm not sort of driven by profit, and clearly I probably wouldn't be. But it's about making sure that other businesses and other people run a really good, sustainable business.
So you're driven by helping people. And our listeners, they've got one thing in their minds. What's in it for me? And
I can clearly see that, but I think it's how we then make sure that anything that we do, it's obviously got there's bottom line issues financially, but it's about making sure that we can add value, and a lot of people want to help their community or take on an apprentice, and it's making sure we've got those routes to do that, and actually that drive, because we do need big businesses, we need small businesses as well that feed in, and it's just making that sort of connection with business.
Well, I suppose what you do need, at whatever level, you need enlightened business. I've been meeting lots of people recently, and the more I find, the more enlightened a person is, the more open-minded they are, and the more they're prepared to take on advice.
I mean, a business, in my opinion, can only be successful if it is sustainable. You can get your next profit, but if you're not building a good rapport with your customers, with your clients, with your suppliers, it's not really going to take you too far, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose it's back to the old thing: have a plan, work your plan. That sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving into the final moments of our interview today, can I ask you, given all this information that you have available to you, and the direction that you're taking us locally into, do you have a parting piece of advice for all our listeners who tend to be SMEs, but spread throughout the whole of the construction industry, from small clients, developers, professional service people, main contractors, specialist subcontractors, manufacturers, the whole gambit. Is there a parting piece of advice that you can give us all that would benefit us?
Well, I think it's probably about having a plan, knowing where you want to go, and if you are thinking of applying for grants or loans, know exactly what you want to do with it. Don't be swayed by changing tack to fit the funding regime. I think that's the absolute key. Know exactly what you want to do, why you want to do it. If the funds fit, go for it. If they don't, probably find another way, because you can shoehorn yourself into things that you don't want to necessarily go to. So I think that would be the key, is making sure that whatever you want to deliver, that's the best that you've done your research for your business. If grant helps or loan helps, go for it, but don't be swayed by having to fit criteria of funding regimes.
But over and above grants and funding possibilities, as you say, everybody needs a plan. If you take the banks, for instance, a bank won't make a loan unless you've got a business plan.
Absolutely.
So is that what we're saying? We start with the business plan, the vision and the mission and the purpose?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even if it's, and I know businesses, sort of the different sizes, I've met businesses and they've got these absolutely fantastic business plans, but they never actually implement it. So I do appreciate that probably a lot of people bit of a wing and a prayer, but somewhere there might be something documented to say where they're going, even if it's literally the mission statement, depending on size of business and complexity. But I think know where you're heading, because otherwise you don't know which path to go on.
Yeah, quite. Okay. Right. So so thank you for that.
Quite welcome.
Really informative, and I'm sure there's tons more information that you've got available to us all. And if we were sufficiently enlightened to want to engage, how do we make contact with you?
There's two ways. If for the business support, through the coordinators in the Growth Hub, I think that's you've definite business support. But then through the D2N2 Local Enterprise Partnership website, or directly to me on email, as much as I can do to help.
And your email address is
lindsay.allen@d2n2lep.org.
And you'd be happy to take calls or
that's fine.
Requests for information.
Yeah, I mean, if it's about the strategic where we're going, that's absolutely fine. But I think if it's direct business support, we've got Manny and Lisa, who are the Growth Hub coordinators, and then there's some direct delivery that we're offering through the Business Growth Hub.
Right. Well, that's brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Lindsay. So thank you for that, and I hope everybody inundates you with enquiries and what have you.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again. Take care. Bye.